Welcome to the Right Call podcast. Tim, how does it feel to be here?
Feels great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So just so people know, Tim right here is actually my brother. Now, the real question is, do you think people would think you are older or younger than me?
I think people would think I'm older.
You know,
just because I'm bald.
But is that what you get? Like, whenever people meet the both of us, do they think you're older or younger than me?
Very often they think I'm older. And I mean, I used to have a big beard, right?
Yeah.
And I have a lot of gray in my beard, so that doesn't help me either. I just look a lot older.
Yeah.
But now with my little baby face, maybe people would say younger.
Because you trimmed your beard before going on to Europe, right?
No, I trimmed my beard maybe a year ago, actually. Yeah.
Because when you posted a picture, you were in Portugal, right? Yeah. And you posted that picture. I hadn't seen you on social media in forever. And dude, with the weight you've lost from running, your face, it's like chiseled, It's freaking insane.
I have the Chad face now.
The Chad face, for sure. So yeah, like, okay, this is actually something I want to hear about because, you've been to Europe now twice, right?
Yeah.
And you grew up most of your life in Canada.
Yeah.
You've spent some time in Florida as well.
A lot of time.
Right.
Love that place.
So, you just came back from vacation. You spent 2 weeks. You're also married to a European, to a Portuguese girl, right? My sister-in-law, whom I like very much. She's a great girl. So, I mean, you just got back. It's fresh. What's like some of the differences you've seen between North America and Europe? Like, is there striking things that you see that just jump at you? Like, it's like way different for you?
There's a lot of differences. I mean, a lot culturally, and also when it comes to just little things here and there. And I know you could attest to that. For example, water bottles.
Yeah, oh my God, those fucking water bottles.
So,
I can't fucking stand them.
When you open a water bottle, you can't remove the cap. It stays attached. And then you try to drink from it, and it's impossible because it just hits you in the nose, and it's just annoying.
I think that's universal. I don't think I've ever met anyone who likes those water bottles with the low cap, And is it to, like, save the environment, the planet, like the fucking straws when it comes to saving the turtles?
From what I heard, apparently it's because it's a choking hazard for children.
Choking hazard for children. Yeah. Like, okay, like, I get it to an extent, but, I mean, Jesus fuck. How many lives are you saving compared to the whole, like, if it only saves one life? I don't believe in that.
No.
I'll be quite frank with you. I don't believe in that. A life, this is fucked up because, like, we are in an insurance company's building right now. Lives are have a valuation, right? You can actually not monetize, but you can attach a monetary value to a life. And insurance companies, definitely actuaries that work for the insurance companies, have figured out exactly the value of a life throughout a lifetime, if you wish, or X amount of years. And sometimes they're just like, yeah, but if this measure saves a life, I'm like, nah, you know what? If the measure costs considerably more than the value of the lives that you're hypothetically going to save, don't do it. Yep. Sorry to say it, but it's actually a net loss for society.
Yeah,
it's kind of fucked up, but it's true.
And just adding security measures for people for no reason as well. All the time. It's always about just adding more security. It's
always, I know. But okay, so what else have you seen? Like, what strikes you when you go to Europe? Like, what's the big differences for you?
Honestly, it's just the way of life. The way people live over there is just a lot more laid back. It's a lot more family oriented. It's a lot more focused towards, enjoying life, taking it easy. Here in North America, we're really go, always on the go. Like, people have a 9-to-5 job after work, go back home and don't take the time necessarily to enjoy time with family or with friends or to go out to a bar, just grab a coffee, grab a drink. But in Portugal, everyone's just out all the time. Whenever you finish work, everyone meets up at a cafe or at a bar or a restaurant and just they'll sit down, have food, have a coffee, and just have good conversations and enjoy people's company for the night, and then go back home and do it all over again the next day.
That's the one thing I've noticed too, because for transparency's sake, I spent more time in Portugal than he has. I've spent maybe 6-7 months, maybe even 8 months over there over the years, and that's the one thing I got to meet some people, make some friends over there, and the overall social life over there is night and day.
Oh yeah.
And like you said, it's damn right. People, they will meet just randomly, just to chip chat, just to yap. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like people just get together, have a coffee, have a drink. People drink more, to be honest, alcohol. But mind you, when beers are €1.50, I know, like you can buy a bottle of wine in Portugal for €2.50.
Oh yeah, that's a quality wine.
It's a quality wine for sure. Fuck, compared to the Waterloo Trail we get here. This reminds me, back in the days, holy fuck, we're going way back, playback here, but like Friday, Saturday night before going out with the boys or like going to a party, you'd stop by the Dep, right? By the Dep under the corner store. and they used to sell these key, these like bottles, like
Yeah,
big
the
bottles,
40 ounces.
the 40 ounces of Labatt Dry, and you had the choice of like 7.1, 8.1, or like 9.1% alcohol,
then
right?
10.1.
There was a 10.1 too, perhaps,
10.1.
yeah. So like, and it was dirt cheap. It was like $5 for the entire thing.
I remember Couche-Tard used to have a special. It was 2 for $7.99. So you'd get there, you get two 10.1s.
Oh man,
Disgusting,
It was
but-
so bad. It was so disgusting. It tasted like actual ass. But
Yep.
goddamn, and like the drunk per dollar value.
Oh, I mean, you couldn't beat that. And
Oh,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
beat that anymore.
I'm
but-
sure like there's a ratio, right? It's like drunkenness per dollar spent. This is peak drunkenness per dollar
big time.
spent.
But you were drinking hobo piss.
Hobo piss indeed. Something that we may eventually I didn't even look at the time because I need to know. Okay, it's like 3:30. All right. Because again, like I don't have Shamar here right now, so I don't know how long. Okay, actually it says the time right there, 10. Okay, good. So just so we know. And okay, so yeah, the lifestyle is just better over there. Do you have the desire one day to live there? Is that the plan for you?
100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%. And look, I just came back, maybe 3 days ago?
Yeah.
And no matter where you come from, landing back in Montreal is always depressing.
Absolutely.
I don't know why. It's a depressing airport, depressing place to land.
Depressing country.
Yeah, it's just,
Depressing fucking place.
yeah, no, I just don't enjoy it. Like, as you know, I took a mini trip in my trip and I went to Madeira.
Yeah.
And obviously flew to Madeira. And then when I flew back to Lisbon, I was excited to fly back to Lisbon, and it wasn't like, I'm back in Lisbon. Like, I was just excited, and
Yeah.
it's a nice place to land. The airport is shit, but it's a nice place to land.
Another thing too, and that strikes me, is the architecture in Europe. Just the cities, the
yeah.
way they're laid out, the way they're built. It's inspiring. It looks beautiful. Like
Yep.
you can walk around the cities, and it's actually like pleasing to the eye. Meanwhile, North American cities, like mind you, there's plenty of things I love about North America, right? Especially the U.S. But the way our cities are designed, the buildings, the street, the grid, the layout, it's fucking soul sucking. It's depressing.
Oh, absolutely. Everything's gray brown. There's
Yeah.
no life to the buildings. It's all cheap. Like
Yeah.
you look at the buildings and in Portugal and Europe, everything is quality build. Everything, even where I was staying in the apartment, it's all marble floors, it's hardwood floor, and that's the norm. And then the buildings, the walls are not just like cheap gyprock.
No, it's made of concrete.
Exactly. It's nice and solid. It
Yeah.
retains the heat in the winter, and then it keeps the cold in the winter in the summer, and it's just
Well, Lisbon, did you know it's the oldest capital in Europe?
yeah.
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 It's not the oldest city. There's cities that are older than Lisbon, but it's the oldest capital city in
And
Europe.
actually, one thing I learned is that a part of downtown Lisbon actually was the first earthquake-proof city to be built in Europe.
Yeah, because Lisbon actually there was a massive earthquake in
Yeah,
Lisbon.
earthquake, tsunami, and fire
Yeah.
all on the same day.
Yeah. They fucking destroyed all of
Yeah,
Lisbon.
and then Marquês de Pombal.
Marquês de
Marquês
Pombal.
de Pombal was the one in charge to rebuild the city, and yeah,
And now he's everywhere over there.
almost every second street is called after him, just
I
like
know.
here in René Lévesque.
Yep. Yeah, the only difference is that that guy rebuilt the city, whereas René Lévesque, he was just a drunk. But anyways, Peo used to tell me. So Peo used to be our CTO at BizBiz, and my brother here, for transparency's sake, used to work with us at BizBiz as well. And Peo used to tell me, because he's really big into politics and the stories of our parliament in Quebec. So it used to be l'Assemblée nationale in Quebec City. And it used to be that outside the windows, you had a bunch, and I mean like piles of broken glass, because the people within l'Assemblée nationale, la Chambre Bleue, where they sit, right? Basically like the House of Commons, if you wish. Like all the elected officials, they're fucking drunk off their, or they were drunk off their ass, and they would just drink, and then toss the bottles out the windows, and it would just land and break. That's the legacy of our province.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, not surprised at all.
Nope.
All right, so speaking of legacy, let's get into a little bit of news right now. What's going on in the world, right? So, I mean, look, we spoke about it time and time again, right? The Canada-US tariffs, that shit just never fucking ends. So, in short, we had Mark Carney and Donald Trump. They were supposed to come to an agreement, a negotiation by August 1st to negotiate tariffs between the country. Obviously, that did not happen. So, Canada and the US could not agree on a deal by August 1st. So, what happened is that the Trump tariffs on all Canadian products now have been increased to, I believe, 35%. Is that correct?
Yep.
35%, up from the 25% before. So we are being squeezed even more for, because of our inability to make a deal. But here's where it really gets me. It's the isolation we're seeing. So when Carney came into power, he kept talking about how we are going to divest from the US. We're going to make deals abroad. He wanted to get closer to Europe, to the EU. He wanted to get closer to China. And it seemed like he was trying to create a coalition between, all these countries to stand up to Trump. Well, lo and behold, over the summer, while our elected officials were on vacation after working a solid 2 weeks.
Barely.
So Parliament came back in session for about 2 weeks, and then they took a nice big fat vacation because why not? What the fuck is the point of working? So Mexico went to the negotiation table and managed to secure themselves another 90-day extension. Correct. So they are safe for now with the US. The EU, namely, made a deal with Trump for a baseline 15% tariffs across the EU. And that is down from the initial threat that Trump was going to put 30% tariffs. So the EU managed to negotiate and to make a deal. They decided to, I don't want to say bend the knee, because this is not about bending the knee to the will of one nation. It's about renegotiating in good faith.
Exactly.
And they did so. And meanwhile, they also made a deal with China. That was a big thing, not on everything, but there was a few products that China managed to make a deal with the US. So in the meantime, Canada, we became isolated. We are now standing by ourselves with even less leverage than we had before. What do you think is going on? Like, are we going to get screwed? Are we just going to keep getting hammered with more tariffs? Or, you have this crew, the elbows up crew. It's always about sticking it to Trump. But is that a realistic plan?
I don't think it's a realistic plan. I think that we absolutely need to go to the negotiating table and negotiate something with Trump, just like Europe did, just like Mexico is trying to do. And a little bit like you were saying, it's the fact that Carney was trying to make this coalition and try to stick it up to Trump. Yeah. And as you know, Canada and Carney, with the little power that we have, I feel like everyone just kind of turned around and said, well, you know what? We don't want our countries to suffer, so we're going to go to a negotiating table and come up with a deal for for the better of our country. Yeah. And I think it's extremely important for something to happen here in Canada, or else we're just gonna keep getting fucked.
Our economy is not doing too good, right?
Well, absolutely not.
And right now, in terms of numbers, so let's at least be honest about it. Right now, 94% of exports are still shielded under USMCA, right? The United States, Mexico, Canada free trade agreement. So that shields about $500 billion worth of trade. The only issue is that USMCA needs to, by the agreement, begin renegotiation by July of next year. So in about a year, it needs to be renegotiated, that deal, or extended, but it seems like it definitely will be renegotiated. Yeah. So we cannot continue to hold off for too long because to give you a little bit of an idea, right? So steel, aluminum, and cars right now, they're not shielded under USMCA, and tariffs on those steel products, aluminum products, and cars could cost upwards of 23,000 jobs in Canada for the steel industry, and 9,500 jobs in the aluminum industry, which is, by the way, aluminum industry is huge for the province of Quebec.
Oh, absolutely.
And in
huge.
Canada as well,
Yep.
right? Now that's a lot of fucking jobs. And Canada right now, our economy is not doing so good.
Nope.
We also have our unemployment rate right now is increasing. I mean, I'm not too sure. Let me pull this up right now, unless you have the number. But what does it stand at right now, unemployment in Canada? We're at 6.9. So June 2025, we are at 6.9%. All right. So I don't think we can stand to lose even more jobs. And this is in contrast to the US, which the US unemployment rate is at 4.2%. Fuck,
Wow.
We're doing considerably better.
Way better.
Yeah. So, yeah, we don't really have any bargaining chips right now.
Nope.
So what do you think is the avenue? Do we Because what sucks though is that Canada ultimately we're gonna have to leave something on the table, right? Because the deal is gonna have to benefit the U.S.
Of course.
And we just don't have the bargaining power. So yeah, I'm getting, like, to be honest, like the whole tariff talk, I'm getting so fucking tired. So tired of listening to the tariffs, and it never ends. Just make a deal already.
Yeah, seriously, it's been months now.
Fuck, just make a fucking deal. Yeah. So in other news, though, let's go overseas because we were talking about Europe. And did you see the EU Ireland kind of little kerfuffle, little battle going on between the two of them?
I've been seeing a couple clips here and there.
See, because the thing is this, in Ireland right now, they have a big issue with the migrants.
Yeah.
Well, as most countries in Europe.
Exactly.
You know, so, but the thing is that Ireland decided to stand up for itself and say, look, listen, we're not gonna allow the EU to ship and force our country to take all these migrants.
Yeah.
You know, because right now, to understand, Ireland is suffering through a housing crisis. They've been a little bit of a victim of their own success. So it's an economy that 30, 40 years ago was actually lagging way behind the rest of the EU. They weren't doing so hot economically. And in the last couple decades, they've made some changes in regulation, namely in taxation, and it attracted a crap ton of foreign capital.
Yeah.
Most importantly, and this surprises a lot of people, most European headquarters of big conglomerates are in Ireland.
Yeah, they are.
You know, Apple is in Ireland.
Indeed.
Accenture, Indeed is in Ireland. HubSpot is in
Yep.
Ireland. Accenture, which is a huge consulting company, is in Ireland. All these companies are in Ireland for good reason, tax-wise. And obviously, these companies employ tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people, and they need to be housed. And I've had a chance to spend a bit of time in Ireland. It's wild. It is wild. People are fighting for rooms, not for units, not for apartments, but for rooms
Really?
to live in. Yeah, and they're paying like in the thousands of euros a month just for a room.
That's crazy.
You know, and so you think we have a housing crisis in Canada, and although we do,
Yeah.
mind you, we definitely do, but this is worlds different over there.
Wow.
So on top of that, the EU now says, you know, you're going to have to take in a bunch of migrants, a bunch of asylum seekers, and Ireland just said, no, we're not going to do that. So the courts over there said, no, we're not going to do that. And it went to actually an EU court, an European court. And on August 1st, the European Court of Justice ruled that Ireland's failure to provide housing to asylum seekers violates EU law. And they were dismissing basically the claim that it's a force majeure happening in Ireland. In case there's a housing crisis, our population is suffering, so it's a force majeure, so we are exempt from having to take all these asylum seekers. And right now, Ireland faces a deficit of up to 256,000 homes. All right, 250,000 homes is what is needed right now to just meet the demand in Ireland. Not to solve everything, just to meet current demand.
Wow.
And in the meantime, the EU is telling Ireland, you need to take in just 1 month, 14,000 migrants. No, sorry, I'm totally messing this up here in my notes. So obviously Ireland right now faces a deficit of 250,000 homes.
Yeah.
And they have close to 14,000 people that are homeless right now. All right. That is a 16% increase year over year for the month of March, for example. So again, it brings up the point. Should a country care about others, or should it always prioritize the well-being and the welfare of its citizen first?
I believe it should always prioritize the welfare of its citizens first, 100%. And I mean, there's always going to be issues within a country, but always prioritize your citizens first. And once your citizens are well off, or the vast majority of them are, and many of the issues are addressed, then you could start looking at helping the outside.
Yeah.
And not the other way around, like many countries are doing, including Canada most of the time. No, I think the system is completely upside down by trying to always help the outsiders before helping the own citizens of your own country.
But what do you, okay, so you're an elected official, right? Like you get elected to the House of Commons or whatever. You become the Prime Minister of Canada, right? Aside from appointing me the Governor General of Canada so that I can finally have the title His Excellency the Right Honorable, why the fuck do you think that we keep sending all this money overseas? And mind you, okay, a lot of people will say, yes, but we have an obligation, or it is, world international diplomacy requires us to, But I mean, wouldn't you want to be able to first deploy capital at home to fix the problems you have, and then you'd be in a better position internationally to make a difference?
100%.
So then why do they do it?
I think a lot of it comes down to corruption, as we've been seeing with USAID and many other things of that aspect.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, well, go deeper here into corruption. So how do you know or have an idea of how the corruption happens? Why do they do it? Because corruption is broad. Like, what's the scheme behind it?
That's a good question. If I was an elected official, I'd have more info about it. Yeah. But look, on top of my head like this, we could look at something that repeats itself all the time. Wars. Mm-hmm. So we all know there's a lot of money funneling through wars, and most of it that's being sent overseas actually doesn't even go to helping the causes of the wars. It goes to lining the pockets of different politicians.
For sure. Zelensky needs his 4th Ferrari.
Well, exactly.
It's very important. Or his 3rd mention in Miami. It's a well-known thing.
Oh yeah.
And the people, and this is what's fucked up. If people in Ukraine also know this, I know some Ukrainians, and I know some Russians as well. And when you talk to the Ukrainians, like, obviously they love the country, right? They remind me a little bit of Cubans, not because they were under communism, but because, although they were as well. But it's also mostly because they love their country, but they hate their government.
Yeah.
I haven't met yet someone who actually supports Zelensky, who's like, yeah, you know what? He represents our interests. Like, a lot of Ukrainians are like, yeah, he's holding on to power, and I think he's prolonging the war. A lot of Ukrainians are tired of the war and just want to go back to a normal life.
Of course.
And they're willing to make concessions and to make a deal with Russia, even if it means losing some regions. And you speak to them, the people of those regions, like, they don't even see themselves as Ukrainians.
Oh, not at all.
They see themselves as Russians. Yeah. And the Ukrainians know that. And they're more than happy to let Donetsk and Donbass go. They're more than happy to make a deal to not ever join the EU, not the EU, but NATO or whatever. They just want to go back to their they're tired of the war.
Well, of course.
And then you have Zelensky, who's just kind of keep pushing. And most importantly, the EU politicians.
Yep.
I never thought I would see the day where Europe seems more war hungry than the United States.
Oh, it's absolutely crazy. It's especially, Germany.
Yeah.
Out of all countries.
Well,
the EU in general.
Germany has a little bit of a history.
Of course. But, a lot of the news I see is just, it's always Germany trying to push more weapons, trying to push, trying to bring troops closer, or, telling its citizens to prepare for a escalated conflict. Yeah. And it's always just fear mongering, and then just constantly trying to, poke the bear.
But that's what it is, right? It's a lot of poking the bear, and it seems like right now the United States are actually trying to push for peace. And the one thing that makes me laugh is that before Trump came into office, he was being called a lapdog for Putin.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, he's a pretty shitty lapdog for Putin, because he's actually trying to push, and he's actually put recently sanctions on Russia because he's saying that Russia is not trying to negotiate hard enough, or they're not showing their good faith. Kiev recently just got bombed to shreds again.
Yep.
But at the same time, you do have European officials that are trying to sabotage any peace negotiation.
Oh, absolutely.
Every time Trump brings up the point that, they should have peace negotiation, you have Europeans saying that, no, Ukraine should not make peace. Ukraine needs to have an absolute decisive victory against Russia. Ukraine cannot concede any territory to Russia. It's almost, and again, most of Europe has no stake in this. It doesn't affect them. Ukraine is not an EU member. Ukraine is not a NATO member. And yet they're so adamant on making sure Ukraine keeps fighting Russia. So do you think it's just because of all, again, we're going back to the foreign aid, all that gravy train of money that these countries are contributing to Ukraine and somehow makes its way back to their pockets?
Yeah, I strongly believe. Mm-hmm. And I also think that they're trying to prolong the war in that way, because certain things might get uncovered, that certain countries have done very unethical things, and when it comes to money funneling and maybe even other things that might come to light. Yeah. And that's something that they don't want to happen.
Well, I think it's also Zelensky trying to hold on to power, because he knows that the
100%.
very moment the war is over, there needs to be an election called. Yeah. And I don't think he's going to be reelected.
Oh, definitely not.
So It's kind of crazy though, right? Like power, I'm sure you've heard the term like power corrupts all, right?
Of course.
And it just seems like all these people that get into positions of power, and once they have a taste of that sweet, sweet drug, they want to hold on to it forever.
Of course.
Like way past. We saw it even here domestically in Canada with Justin Trudeau, who held on to power way too freaking long, to the point where it devastated his fucking legacy.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? But I feel like it happens time and time over. And to be honest, like on top of my mind, there's only truly one famous world leader that I can think of that willingly stepped down from the highest position of power ever, in spite even further of people begging him to stay. Do you know who that would be?
Only person that comes to mind, but I could be totally wrong. Was it Churchill?
No, Churchill tried to.
Yeah, okay.
Churchill tried to hold on to power. He left and then he came back, and yeah, he did not want to go. Although I still think he was a great war leader for the United Kingdom. No, I'm talking about George Washington.
Yep.
So George Washington became a hero, obviously, during the Revolutionary War.
Yep.
And during the time that, the U.S. was a brand new country, they were kind of like testing and negotiating on how they were going to set up the government, what it was going to look like. And there was definitely a faction of the population or the elites over there that wanted a king or some form of a king. And they all wanted George Washington to be that embodiment of that. Eventually, they went for a republic with a president, an executive that has a lot of power, but is far from being a king because there's plenty of checks and balances on him. And there was no such thing as term limits back then.
No.
You could be it was a 4-year office, but you could be reelected.
It wasn't a 2-term.
Exactly. There was no constitutional amendment for a 2-term limit. And he was reelected again with high acclaims for a second term. But by the time of his 3rd election, people were calling for him to stay into office. And he willingly and purposely stepped down. And he said that, no, I don't want this to become a makeshift monarchy. I've had enough.
Yep.
I've done my duty. I've paid my bills to the nation, effectively. Someone else needs to take the reins.
Yep. They didn't want it to become the same thing that they fought against.
Exactly. That is the only time that I can think of an actual successful, actually loved leader that relinquished the reins of power.
Yep.
So
don't think I could think of another one.
No, this is something too in Canada. Like, do you think we should have term limits for prime ministers?
Absolutely.
But the problem too is just the system, the constitutional monarchy, because technically we don't elect a prime minister.
No.
Technically the prime minister is appointed by the king.
Yes. On the recommendation of the people.
No, not even.
No,
the people don't even have a say in this. The way it works, the prime minister is appointed by the king, and they are to be the person who is most likely to command confidence in the House of Commons.
Yeah.
That's what it's worded as. So you need to retain confidence in the House of Commons. Now, the House of Commons is elected by the people.
Yeah.
So indirectly, yes, it's the people. But no, it's just... And that's why, by the way, like by convention, it's the leader of the winning party. Because, you have your party members are not really going to go against you. You know what I mean?
No,
At least
of course not. Until a certain point. And even then, it's not enough for you to step down.
Yeah. In other news, though, and this one I love. Okay, this one's my favorite. What's been going on? There's major controversy right now. Not in a world that I don't normally talk much about, and is fashion. I wouldn't say I'm a fashionable person. I wear tank tops and hoodies most of the time.
Same thing here, I
guess.
But
you look fashionable. You got a little European flair to you.
Just because it's beige.
Because it's beige? It's tan. To me, that's tan. I can't tell the difference. But American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney. I'm always happy to talk about Sydney Sweeney. Fucking rocket. I don't know about you, but like that's rocket.
Oh, absolutely. Can't say she's a looking
can't say otherwise. But it's been making the headlines because apparently Sydney Sweeney now is a Nazi. That is what is being said.
Yep.
Whenever you are blonde, beautiful, and blue eyes, and you decide to support a brand, you become a Nazi. That's how it works. That's society nowadays.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's also the twist. I'm sure you've seen the ads.
Yeah. So just so people can understand, the entire premise here is that American Eagle has been, kind of trying to find its way for a while now. They had their heydays maybe 20 years ago. Used to shop at American Eagle.
I used to have the pop collars all the time.
There you go, pop collars. And they've been kind of like struggling since. And they decided to hire Sydney Sweeney for a campaign, a commercial campaign. And in there, the tagline is effectively the following: Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Genes being a double entendre, or a play on word. Genes like denim, but she's also meaning genes like your genetic makeshift. And this is what people are saying is a dog whistle for Nazism, because she's blonde, blue eyes, and beautiful.
Exactly.
So what's going on? Like, have we lost our mind? Like,
oh, well, absolutely. And I mean, it's always the same group of people that go absolutely crazy after these things. And it's always the, fat, liberal, blue-haired type woman that just goes absolutely crazy on social media, and anything that they don't agree with, instead of just not listening to it or just, turning the eye and just going on about their day, they need to fucking scream from every rooftop and complain about it. And as always, their favorite word is you're either a fascist, a Nazi, or
fuck. This is another issue I have with feminism, and I have plenty, right? But that feminism is very selective in its outrage. So, they like to say we're there to support women, but the second a girl is doing something, even though it's incredibly successful and acclaimed, but it's not along the narrative that they have, she is vilified and attacked, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And oftentimes, and tell me what you think of this, but it seems that feminism is just a makeshift religion, or sect even at this point, that is being used by, quite frankly, and I'm not gonna, spare my words here, just fucking butt ugly, undesired women to bring any other women who might be desirable down to their shitty level.
Absolutely. And that's what I find crazy, is that with this whole feminist movement about, always, bringing girls up and being, like the go girl and everything, and then you look on social media, and anytime you see a remotely attractive woman, the only people hating on it in the comments always other women.
Isn't that true?
It's always other women.
That's a good point.
It's always other women. It's always women hating on women for some reason. I don't know if it's something about about jealousy or anything like that, but anytime you see a successful woman, in business or in fashion or anything, it's always the women hating on them.
Yeah, they gang on them.
Yep,
they really do.
And there's actually this these videos I saw. They're actually really interesting. It's this girl that just does social media. And then she goes through her comments and she goes over all the haters, and all the haters are always women. And then what she does is that she calls out her haters, and she goes and clicks on the profile picture to show what they look like, and it's exactly the type of women you would expect.
a few pounds, a few kilos overweight.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of jealousy between women, and I think it's because, like it or not, actually, something I've noticed is this: like, the really attractive girls tend to be more right-leaning, more conservative.
Absolutely.
Not always. It's not like a universal rule, but in general, I'd say it's pretty damn right. And I've had plenty of conversation with girls that, society would deem to be attractive. And although on the outside, because women tend to be more agreeable than men. They want to be more agreeable. They don't deal with confrontation or discord as well as men normally would.
Yes.
So on the surface or on the outside, they may seem like they kind of just run along with whatever the social narrative is because they're scared of standing up to themselves. But when you dig a little bit deeper and you have a private conversation with them, you kind of start realizing that their actual honest views deep down inside are a heck of a lot more lined up.
Oh, absolutely.
With ours, with the right, with, what I would call common sense, not this fucking insane feminist lunacy.
Yep.
And and it's always... Actually, there's two types. It's the butt ugly, blue-haired, fat feminist, and it's those really fucking soy boy, basically, the white knights.
Yeah, the white knights, of course.
Right? And I never understood that. Those are the guys that go and defend girls to an extreme, but they're the first guys to be absolutely used and discarded by women.
Because they think that's the way to get it.
But isn't that kind of crazy?
Oh, absolutely. But, and then you look at it, reverse the roles, and you look at men, you look at, very influential men. Could look at Andrew Tate or other men like that. And all the men that are hating on them are all the soy boys. Because any person that has certain amount of success or that wants to reach that success or has the drive or the motivation looks up to these people and looks at the good that they do and they want to take that good and put it towards their own life, their own goals and everything.
Yeah.
But then it's always the soy boys that literally do nothing with their lives, are always hating on them.
Always. But I think that's also in general, most people that hate on others are people that are below or that just don't do anything. Like, how often do you see someone who's actually putting in time and effort and working hard at their business, their life? Like, take the gym, for example, right? I've hardly or seldom seen guys that are in very, very good shape, or women in very, very good shape, hating on someone who is just starting out at the gym, right? Oftentimes it's the opposite. They'll be incredibly encouraging, right? Not always. There's always going to be rotten apples, but they'll be like, no, this person is actually putting effort into bettering themselves. And that is commendable. And they will support and encourage such a thing, right? But it's all the others, the ones who perhaps don't have the strength to better themselves. Instead of doing so, they will just try to bring you down. You know? Just touching on the American Eagle Sydney Sweeney thing, though, what's funny is that because throughout the entire ordeal, the liberals actually and the woke crowd actually decided to dox Sydney Sweeney. And they discovered that she's actually a registered Republican in the state of Florida. So, and then videos started popping up of her actually at the shooting range.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Have you seen that video?
Oh, she could shoot a gun.
Damn. I mean, look, I used to think she was hot. Seeing her handle a firearm like that, she's just gained so many bonus points. Because oftentimes these Hollywood girls, you'd assume that they're like the rest of Hollywood, right? Insanely left-leaning. And she never came out. Like, she's not like Taylor Swift, like fucking coming out and like being super voicing, like, fuck the patriarchy, smash the patriarchy, as like all these little girls were driven to the stadium by their dad who paid for the ticket. I mean, you've seen those videos.
Of course.
Like, smash the patriarchy, smash the patriarchy. And it's like, bitch, like, it's probably, anyways, men who paid for that ticket. But, she was quiet, but she's coming out. And even we had the president of the U.S., Trump.
Yeah, a couple tweets about her.
Tweets.
And a couple comments on video.
Yeah, supporting her, So it's cool to see. And on top of that, American Eagle, and we've seen this often when brands do something that's remotely controversial, and they get the pushback from the woke crowd, they back down. But American Eagle, kudos to them. They did not. They actually doubled down on Sydney Sweeney, saying that she has great genes.
Yeah, of course.
She's got great genes.
And
and we support her right to want to wear her jeans however she wants, whatever. They made a statement that was so good.
But in their statement as well, they're mentioning that there's no double meaning to the ad. It's just she has great genes. That's what we mean by it.
Great genes and two huge knockers. But what I would say is the hypocrisy is that within the last year, Beyonce had a very similar campaign. Okay, I don't know if you've seen it.
I don't think so, no.
But she had a very similar campaign with a different brand, and it was received with massive praise. Like, you go, girl, oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Of course.
And now you have a girl who does something very similar, and now it's bad. Just the difference is the color of her skin.
Exactly.
In America, there's definitely some racism and some divisiveness, but it's probably not where we think it is most of the time.
Not at all.
And just for numbers' sake, right, we're just going to compare something. And I think the pendulum is coming back. Since the day that the commercial came out, the Sydney Sweeney has great genes commercial, the American Eagle brand recorded a single day sale record of $300 million. Wow. That is huge. Plus, they've received what's estimated to be about $65 million in free media exposure. Okay. Now, let's contrast that to another brand who decided to take a completely different twist. They decided to go woke, and you know the fucking term, go woke, go broke. So Jaguar, they decided to go for a massive LGBTQ2ISWXYZ push. And what they've seen instead is a 97.5% decline in European sales in the month of April. To give you an idea, in that month, the year prior, they had sold 180,000 units. That month after the commercial, 27,000 units. That is a massive drop. People are just not behind that shit.
Nope.
Go woke, go broke.
And that's the thing. I think people are just completely fed up of the woke agenda all the time. And now you're starting to see more and more brands revert back to the anti-woke, well, not necessarily the anti-woke, but actual commercials that will bring profits. And actual models that are models and look good and not 300-pound women for Victoria's Secret. And
there you go. Look, it's not controversial to admit the following: beauty sells.
Of course,
sex sells, obviously, but beauty is well received. People that are good looking, they tend to make more money. It's just a quirk of human psychology. You can fight about it all you want, right? But it's not going to change. Like, humans do not evolve past their evolutionary hardwiring within a month because all of a sudden a brand decided to switch.
Yep.
It's fucking dumb. You mentioned Tate, by the way. This is a little bit off topic, but did you see? So you know who Lauren Southern is, right?
Yeah, of course.
Right. So Lauren Southern is, according to the media, a far-right extremist, but she's actually a Canadian. He's a Canadian, sorry. He officially changed his sex in Canada to male. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah. So
as a joke, or
as a joke, and also to show how fucking ludicrous it is.
Okay.
So she's from BC, and she just went to the DMV over there, like the Department of Motor Vehicle, and decided to, on her license, change her gender from female to male, just because she could, just because no questions asked. If you identify as a man, you're a man.
Of course.
So, and she would, like, every time someone would call her she, she'd lose her shit. She'd be like, I'm a fucking he, like she,
Show your driver's license.
Yeah, she's like, I'm a man. What the fuck? Are you assuming my gender? But for real. But no, it came out. So she published a book. She published a book recently where she's kind of detailing. She kind of fell off a little bit, the face of the earth.
Yeah.
She had a few little issues with herself. But she used to be a right-wing conservative commentator, political pundit, and journalist, independent journalist. She used to work for Rebel News back in the days. And before that, also Sun News Network, I believe. Anyways, I think she did some great work. And she's gone through some issues, but she just came out with a book where she kind of reveals all the behind the scenes shit. There's a lot of shady stuff going on, lots of money involved, lots of trying to sway public opinion. But in there, she published a chapter for free because she did not want people to think she was going to make or use that event as a way to sell her book. So she just released it for free. And it's a chapter about how she met Andrew Tate. And in short, and I read it over the weekend, when she was 22 years old, her and, Tommy Robinson, the crazy, I'm going to call him far right. That guy's fucking off the rockers. So in the UK, and a few other people were contacted by apparent rich Eastern European men who wanted to inject money into a new right-leaning conservative media agency. And they wanted to tap these people to be, the face of it. So they flew them down to Romania. As soon as they said that, I'm like, I know where this is going. So flew them down to Romania. She was 22, so that was in 2018. And came to pick them up at the airport in flashy sports car, brought them back to this, like, crazy compound. And lo and behold, it was the Tate brothers. Yeah. And at the time, they weren't as famous as they are today. They were still very much under the table, or not under the table, but like undercover, right? Under the radar, I should say. And at the compound, there were a bunch of crypto bros, people that have made a shit ton of money off cryptocurrency. And they were trying to have a meeting on that. But really quickly it turned into, and they realized, and that's what Lauren was saying, that this was not about actually injecting money in a media company. It was about pushing freedom token, like some pump and dump, And she realized, look, listen, these guys are very smart. They're very successful, but they are shady as fuck, and a lot of their money is completely illegally made. There's a reason why, and they were bragging about the fact we're in Romania because we bought the police and we're outside the scope of most jurisdictions and nothing can happen to us. Look, again, I take some and I leave some here, but what happened further down is that she claims that Andrew raped her.
I heard.
You heard about that?
I haven't looked in depth into it, but been seeing a couple tweets about it.
Yeah. Now, the thing is this, like, I read the entire account and I'm mitigated on it. Okay. I'll be honest with you, because I see a little glimpse of typical girl just kind of like running along with it and even being attracted to the guy, but then regretting it after. So in her account, she mentions he was very charming, very disarming, even his smile, his demeanor, his attitude. He wasn't like the others, blah, blah, blah. I should have known better. And like, she blames herself as well. She has a bit of, introspect. Good for her. But she says that, like, I told him no, but he pushed through. And it's like, it's Man, this I gotta be careful what I say because obviously consent is super duper fucking
Of
important.
course.
But there's also a blurred line, and I don't want to say a blurred line, but look, we've seen it here in Canada, and this
Yeah.
is a great gateway for the next thing. In Canada, there was a massive media frenzy over hockey players, junior hockey players, who a few years ago were charged with raping 5 hockey players, as a matter of fact, raping a young girl during the celebration after winning, I believe, didn't they win a cup or wasn't it something?
Could have been the Memorial Cup or something.
It could have been a
Yeah.
Mem Cup, but anyways, they were celebrating, and it was this girl, this younger girl, who is protected, her identity is protected, but she's referred to as EM. So EM eventually came out stating that she was raped. And obviously, as is the case, believe all women, of course, the men were guilty before, found.
Yep.
They were guilty before, being tried in a court. So obviously, the court of public opinion obviously sides with the woman, and it became this entire media thing. And eventually, it went to trial. And lo and behold, the verdict came back non-guilty on all counts for these 5 guys. Because it turns out that there was consent. It was a clear case of the girl just regretted being effectively had a train run on
Yep.
her, right? Had shame the next day and justified it to herself instead of saying, no, you know what? I was a little bit of a slutty girl that day.
I fucked up.
I fucked up. She said, no, it must have been because I got raped. And she dragged these men who were all promising young boys for an insane, beautiful NHL career, dragged them through hell for the last 5 years. Sure, they are acquitted, but their reputation will forever be stained.
Absolutely.
They've lost what's estimated millions of dollars in
Yep.
hockey deals and brand deals
Yep.
and sponsorships. And ultimately, even though it turns out, and the judge in the case grilled her, saying that she was not credible, her testimony were full of contradictions.
Yep.
There were video recordings of her, and she was clearly into it. There were text messages of her bragging about it. And yet, there's no punishment for what she's done.
I think that's great. There should 100% be punishment for false accusations like that.
Well, ultimately, I think the biggest loser in all this, sure, the guys, it's horrible what's happened to them, but it's also real victims, real women who are actually assaulted, who are actually facing horrible, disgusting situations, but that now, once again, the system will not believe them. People will be very wary of trusting what they say because of girls like EM who made false accusations, who cried wolf when there was nothing to cry about to begin with, and who's tarnishing everyone as usual.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, did you know any of these hockey players?
No. They're too young.
Yeah.
Too young. I mean, they're younger. They weren't in my glory days.
They were. Who was in your glory days?
Oh, I mean, playing in the show right now?
Yeah.
Quite a lot of people actually. I mean, top of my head like that, Jonathan Drouin.
Jonathan Drouin,
Michael Matheson.
yeah.
Sean Couturier. Jonathan Huberdeau. Bunch of really good players, honestly. Really all doing very well in the show.
Oh man, wish, eh? I wish.
Oh yeah.
Maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Probably not.
Probably not. I think we're a little bit past our prime.
Just a little.
You know, before you came, I was talking to Strumey, Adam Strumis, and we were talking about the European League and whatever. You know, there's some pretty good hockey in Europe, though.
Oh, of course.
Yeah,
Of course. I mean, you look at the KHL, you look at...
But even like the SHL, the Swedish Hockey League, it's considered one of the top 4 or 5. It's actually ranked higher than the AHL, as a matter of fact. Normally, the contemporary ranking, you're going to have obviously the NHL being number 1, KHL being number 2. SHL now is considered number 3,
better than AHL,
and then you have the AHL. Yeah.
And then what's that other league the Red Bull plays in? They're called the Red Bull. German team, I believe.
Yeah, it's a team from Salzburg. The Salzburg team. I'm not too sure which. I know the team is from Salzburg.
So I believe that league's a good league as well.
Yeah, it's a great great league. Let's see, Salzburg, Red Bull Hockey, the EC Red Bull Hockey. It's they play in the Ice Hockey League, the ICE, which is called the International Central European Hockey League. So yeah, with teams from Hungary, Italy, Slovenia, and Austria. So Slovenia.
Country I'd love to visit, Slovenia.
Slovenia,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
People confuse it with Slovakia, though.
Oh, I know, but apparently it's a beautiful country.
Yeah.
And I was looking at some data actually when I was in Europe about different countries in Europe and the safety index of walking alone at night.
Yeah.
And the two countries that ranked the highest for safety was actually Slovenia and Croatia.
Croatia.
Yep.
Shit. I'm surprised
And then
Finland's not there.
one of the lowest was France.
Oh, Paris for sure. Oh my God. I know some people in France and I like to make fun of them. First of all, I hate Paris. What a shitty city. Sorry guys, but Paris is such a shithole. And there's legitimately some arrondissements, some neighborhoods you just don't want to go to.
No.
It's scary. It's horrible.
Yeah, but I mean it's like that in mostly every country, you know, like even here in Montreal, there's neighborhoods you don't really want to go to at night.
Yeah.
Same thing in Portugal, you know, we were
Yeah.
talking about that the other day, the last standing favela.
Yes. Cova de Moura.
Yep.
In
Amadora.
Amadora, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like Amadora and Almada confirmed, because Almada is on the south, right? It's next to Setúbal.
Almada, I believe, were actually
It's right next to Setúbal.
next to, yeah. I thought it was more closer to downtown Lisbon, but
No, it's to the north of
yeah?
Setúbal,
Okay.
but it's on the south
Yeah.
of Lisbon.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. And then you have Amadora, and then you have the you have a Pajit town as well. You know, so that's always fun. Gotta be careful. The video editors are gonna know. But yeah, this actually brings up another point though. Did you see that for the second straight year now? Actually, let me ask. Let me ask. What do you think is the most common name for boys, newborn boys in Europe right now?
If I go with common sense, I'm going to say Mohammed.
Well, common sense tends to be prevalent with you. So it had just came out that now for the second year in a row, the most popular name for newborn boys is Mohammed. And all the declination, Mohammed, Mohammed,
Hamad.
but all the Mohammeds in the UK. And it's growing in other countries as well.
Of course.
And this ties in with something that I discussed maybe a month ago about the declining birth rate in Europe. I think it's a crisis. We're at a crisis level right now. You know, it's a little bit of an elephant in the room. People are scared to name it, but you can call it the Great Replacement.
Absolutely.
Do you know how many? And it's hard because, like, in our countries, in the Western countries, we're always told that, like, we're privileged and that we need more diversity. But when you actually step back, and maybe that was the case 100 years ago, but when you step back today and you look at the world in general, what percentage of the world is of white European origin?
Probably not much.
Take a guess in percentage.
Of the entire world.
Yeah, in the world.
I'll say 15%.
See, that's actually already pretty low. A lot of people would say 20, 25. In fact, some people say 50%. The answer as it stands right now, it's estimated that only 7% of the world is of white European background, right? We are the minority.
No, big time.
And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not saying that we should have more or less. What I'm saying is that to be fed the constant narrative of we need more diversity and we need to take a back seat to diversity in our countries, when you realize that, no, actually our countries are the minority in the world, I think it stems mostly from the fact that Western European descent countries tend to be richer.
Yeah.
And look, there could be 100 million reasons for that. We're not going to dive into this right now. But I don't think it's correct to say we need more diversity, because if you and I went to just about any country in the Middle East or Asia, we would be not only expected but demanded to abide by their local culture, their customs, and their way of life, and that is normal. And
of course, the common thing to do.
well, again, common sense, right?
Yeah.
But here we're told that we need more and more and more people, and we need to accommodate all these people and change our way of life. The problem is that a indirect consequence of this is the fact that these cultures tend to have a higher birth rate than we do in Canada and in the Western world. And what happens within a few generations is that you're effectively bred out of existence.
Yep.
Something I did not mention before, but it's estimated that by 2050, Belgium will be the first European country
Yeah.
to actually become majority Islamic. And being an Islamic country is not an issue per se. The issue, though, becomes the fact that through democratic processes, they will be able to, if they choose so, to fundamentally change the way the country is run.
Yeah.
They could create an Islamic caliphate if they wanted
Absolutely.
to. Anything is possible, and it's going to be done through democratic means.
Yep.
At what point do you think is it right to just put your foot down and say, look, listen, no, we're going to protect ourselves. We're going to protect our borders, our country. Like, we're seeing a major decline. You're seeing it also, like, take Japan, right? Japan is having a major cultural issue due to, again, declining birth rate.
Yep.
But you're not seeing anyone in the West calling for Japan to fix that issue by increasing their immigration quotas. It's a country that is famously anti-immigration.
Yep.
It's very hard to reside in
Yep.
Japan. Very hard, near impossible to become a citizen of Japan. They're very, very closed off to immigration, but you're not seeing people call for more immigration in Japan. Rather, you're seeing people call for, there needs to be more balance because they have a very strong work culture over there, more balance in work culture, need to be more incentive for kids, for money, to support families. The economy is stalling over there. There's plenty of things that are being called for,
Yep.
but nobody's calling for, just mass migration.
Yep.
Why are we doing that in Canada?
I mean, we could dive down in some crazy conspiracy theories here, but look, I think it could be from a point of view of voting in elections.
Okay.
So the people usually that are being brought in through governments that are more left-leaning,
Mm-hmm.
and very often you'll see that many people, and that saying that when you're young you tend to be a liberal, and then when you're older you get a head on your shoulder and tend to be more of a conservative.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the thing, is that when common sense hits, very often people will change and start voting conservative. So to not lose a voter base, then they need to bring as many people as possible to try and keep that voter base that they're losing.
Yeah.
So that could be one of the reasons. Look, there could be many other reasons, but I think that it's already too far down, and we should have put our foot down a long, long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's any way to go back?
Go back, we're probably too far gone, but to mitigate and to try and reduce it, there is absolutely a chance.
So then obviously it leads me to ask, like, for example, a question, right? You're married.
Yeah.
Why don't you have any kids?
That's in the pipeline down the line.
That's in the pipeline. Yeah, I know, but like it's because something I see as well, because I've seen this a lot on the right. We were talking about Lauren Southern before, but that's something people used to obviously reproach her, is that she kept calling for very conservative values and to be more right-leaning and whatnot. And people were saying, like, well, why the fuck aren't you married and having kids? Eventually, she did get married and she did have a kid, and then she got divorced and took her kid to, it was with an Australian man, and she came back to Canada. But, I mean, you're 32? Gonna be 32?
Gonna be 32, yeah.
You're 32, It's like, okay. I mean, why don't you do your part in the whole scheme? Well, what are you waiting for?
I'm definitely going to play my part, and I'm not going to say I'm waiting till the moment's right, but we have a plan.
Yeah, you have a plan? See, I hear that often, people saying like, I'm not ready yet. The time's not right. There's still too much to do. It reminds me a lot of people that have businesses. When we did the same with BizBiz. We were creating our MVP, our minimum viable product. And we used to be scared of launching. We're like, it's not ready yet. We can improve it. And lo and behold, of course, we could improve it. It was fucking shit. But eventually, you kind of like, you have to pull the trigger and you have to step out and
just do it.
And do it.
Of course.
Right? There's always going to be a better moment. There's always going to be you can always, make more money. You can always wait until I have a bigger home. You can always but at one point, it's like it's too late.
Oh, of course. But it's not in a way where, waiting for the right moment or like, we want more money, a bigger house or whatever. It's more of, we sat down and spoke about it and planned out, the next 5-10 years of our lives and what we want to do. And we have a game plan.
You have a game plan?
Yeah, we're trying to stick to it as much as possible. Now, obviously accidents could happen. And I mean,
Where do babies come from?
good question.
Yeah. So yeah, but continue what you're saying.
Yeah. So it's just, I will be doing my part, that's for sure. And, I have to admit, when I was a little younger, I wasn't sure if I wanted to have kids or not.
And why is that? What prevented you, or what kept you, or held you back?
Well, it's, I'd say it's the fact that I didn't want to necessarily have the responsibilities. And, being very often when you think about having a kid, you think about, the responsibilities, but not just that, just being tied down and not having the freedom of doing what you want to do anymore, because obviously your kid becomes your number one priority.
Yeah.
But the older I started getting, the more my mentality changed. And not only do, I think having kids is a beautiful thing, and having a family is the most important thing in the world. But it's also the fact that
the fact that
I lost my
you lost your train of thought. It happens, man. It fucking happens. You know what? You'll realize that sometimes the hardest thing is putting your thoughts into concise words. It's not easy, man.
Nope.
This is one of the reasons why I think a lot of people don't come out and talk more about the kind of stuff that we talk about. It's due to they feel uncomfortable putting their thoughts out into the world in a proper fashion. But the reality is that it's like anything else in life. Unless you do it, you're not going to get better, right?
For sure.
It's like writing. As a matter of fact, some people write better than others, but oh man, I'm pulling up some statistics right now, which is fucking wild. Because sometimes I save little things here and there, and I want to talk about. Okay, this is hilarious. Have you seen the picture, by the way, of oh my god? Because we're talking about the Great Replacement, right? Have you seen the picture of the Argentinian women's hockey team?
No.
No? Okay. Here, let me see if I can pull that up on the. Yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, watch this. Take a second. I'm gonna copy the link. I'm gonna send this to myself. Dude, it's insane. Come on, send. Good. Then I'm gonna pull it up right here.
So do they all look like men, or are they?
Yeah, exactly. They all have huge schlongs. You're gonna love seeing this.
That reminds me of this other picture I saw a while ago. I don't know if it was true or not, but it was some Middle Eastern soccer team, football team.
Yeah.
And it was a women's team. And then you look at the picture of the team, and you could clearly see that three of the people on that team were men. Actual men.
Actual men. Jeez. All right. Where the fuck is it? There you go. Why does it want to show? Oh, because it's hidden here. There you go. Look at this. Look at that. This is the image of the Argentine's women's hockey team that went viral under the headline, "Today, more European than many European countries."
Yep.
Look at that, eh?
That's crazy.
I know. It's wild to look at that because, again, the replacement, but the Great Replacement, like we said. But this is, to me, they all look European.
Yeah.
They're all like either blonde or, fair-skinned. They could be Italian. They could be Spanish. They have their typical little bit kind of like South American, Latina look to them. But, contrast that to the sports team that you have right now in Europe.
Yeah.
It's to me,
it's absolutely crazy.
That is insane.
But, in general, Argentinians tend to be, very lighter skin, and
they do
a lot of blondes and lighter hair and everything. They're not your typical Latino that you think about all the time
at all. And that it's funny because whenever I go to a Hispanic country, I go to Mexico, I'll go to Cuba, they will speak to me in Spanish.
Yep.
Like very, very naturally. And I'll stop them. I'm like, oh no, I don't speak Spanish. Sorry. They're like, oh, I thought you were Argentinian. And it's because like I get tan. Like you and I, we get pretty tanned, right? But I have blue eyes.
Yep.
So they look at me, they're like, this guy, this motherfucker.
Well, you could pass as Argentine.
He's an Argentine, you know? Maybe I have a grandfather that was German, who knows? But no, but it's true. A lot of Argentinians have, and this is actually what's interesting. The more south you go in South America, the more European descent there is. Even in Brazil, if you look at the southern states in Brazil, they have a lot of Italian heritage, huge amount of ex-Italian settlers. So the people in southern Brazil, where like Bernardo's from, for example, are very light-skinned, very European features. They're not the typical Brazilian you think. They're actually more from the north part of the country, right? And then you go down to Uruguay, and you go down to Argentina, and it's the same thing. Argentinians are very, very blonde.
You know, I've met quite a lot of people from Uruguay, from Paraguay, and when I think about it, they're whiter than I am.
Who from Paraguay do you know?
Someone's ex-wife. if you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about, but they don't. So how about you tell us?
Oh God,
tell us a little bit of the story here.
I mean, I don't know all the details because I was dissociated from it after a while. But
did someone get got?
Yeah, basically this guy I knew decided to go on vacation in Cancun this one time because he was getting a little lonely and just wanted to go and have a good time.
As we've all been there before.
Exactly, and he had just made nice amount of money by selling some real estate that he invested in. So nice. he had a bit of money. So being alone in Cancun, going to the clubs, he's trying to flash the money around the women and trying to show that he's a big baller shot caller. And eventually he ended up meeting this girl from Paraguay, and he instantly fell in love with her. So after he came back from Cancun, he stayed in contact with her and then decided that he would buy a plane ticket and fly to Paraguay to go see her.
A story for the ages.
Yeah, so he flew to Paraguay and then stayed there for a couple of weeks, met the family and everything. It was, the love story. And then they had plans for her to come back to Canada so that she could come and live with him and then go to school and everything. So he flew her back to Canada, everything on his dime, obviously. And then when they were back here in Canada, paid for the apartment, paid for everything for her, paid for her schooling, because obviously as a non-citizen, school is not free.
Yeah, of course.
So obviously it's not like going to school in the US, but it's still a pretty penny.
Yeah.
And so she stayed with him, went to school and everything. And then when all that was done and she got what she wanted, she divorced him and left.
Do you think it was the plan all? Okay, honestly, in your heart, do you think it was the plan all along, or is it just a case of people eventually grow apart over time? Like, do you want to give it a benefit of the doubt, or do you think it was maniacal and very calculated?
I would say a little bit of both. I would say at first it was more of a growing apart issue, and I remember seeing the relationship that wasn't smooth. There was a lot of fighting, a lot of arguments, but then I think it's more it turned into, let me just drag it along, get what I want from it, and then when the moment's right, I'll leave. Yeah, because there was plenty of opportunities to leave, plenty of opportunities to just.
But too much was at stake.
Exactly.
Too much was at stake. Yeah. It's a story I've heard so many times. Mostly, here in Quebec, there's like this obsession with les Cubains, the Cubans, right? The cubanos.
Men going to Cuba and
the men going to Cuba and fall in love. Yeah, what? Actually, I know less men, and I've seen less men fall in love with Cubanas than I have women going to Cuba and falling in love with the cubano.
Of course, it's they're suave.
They're suavemente. They do. And I discovered that I was very, very young. I was 16 years old, and actually I had just turned 17. And I went to Cuba for the first time. I went to Hologuin with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and she had a plan. Our entire trip was planned already from a while before, and then last second her and I started dating. She's like, I'm gonna miss you, come with me. And I was like, I'm gonna miss you too, let me come. So I decided to go, but it was her mostly and all of her girlfriends. There were like 5 girls from Montreal, and one of the girls, she was 16 years old. Whoa, she was 16 or 15. No, she was 16, but she had been seeing one of the dancers on the resort since she was 13. That's the thing.
Okay.
So she was 16, but I had been seeing that guy. Now, that guy's name, and I'll never forget his name. His name was Osmani. Osmani. And he had a best friend named Luis Angel. Oh. And they were both dancers on the resort. They were both 31 years old as well. So they were your age.
That's pretty fucked up.
I know. What fucked up thing is that like now they're like in their
40s? 50s?
Oh, like late 40s,
Yeah.
early 50s. Oh my God. I'm trying to imagine what Osmani's doing. Anyways, I wonder if he ever made it out. But he probably, let's assume, had several girlfriends.
Yes.
You know? And
Of course, they rotate them every week, you know?
Well, I mean, because the thing is, they're all tourists anyway,
Yeah.
so it's easy to get away. And they're all looking for that one, you know, trying to hook. Just
Yeah.
the one for the passport, right?
And they'll always find it.
Oh,
God.
They're suavemente. Yeah, I know. But I mean, again, it's because men in Canada have become so effeminated that girls are drawn to manly men.
Of
It's
course.
not a controversial thing to say. But men are so low testosterone, such soy boy. But you know what? It's okay, because another thing I wanna raise right here, and I just pulled it up on the TV. I want to take a second to thank Germany and the United Kingdom, the UK, for being heroes and sacrificing their economy to save the planet. This is a graph that shows the annual CO2 emissions, Germany, United Kingdom, and China. And as we can see, over the years, Germany and the UK were fairly low, and then decide that it's about time that we cut our already low emission. Now, contrast that to China, that's gone all the way through the roof. We're talking more than about 12 times. I would say roughly 12 times the amount of annual CO2 emissions. So in the meantime, though, Germany's economy and the UK's economy are being castrated, for lack of better words, and people are suffering, and the energy cost is through the roof. But you can rest assured that at least you're doing your part in saving the planet, while China is laughing at you, and where the middle class and the economy over there is growing by the day. Their standards of living are increasing by the day, and most people in the UK now are considered fairly low wage. Like, I mean, outside of London, you go outside of London, the UK is broke.
Oh, absolutely.
It's third world shithole country. Like, for real. And then in London, it's such a huge disparity, because you go in London and it's like the most posh, rich, luxurious area in the world. But then the second you get out of it, like, go to Luton, go to Birmingham, go to fucking Manchester. You know, like,
If I go there, I won't understand a thing
No.
anyone tells me.
I don't understand shit from fuck. Yeah, I know, I agree with you. But to me, it's the hypocrisy of the West. And I posted a video about this, but it's so hilarious to watch, because you go to Europe, and again, you just came back from Europe, so you've seen this. Hotels, buildings, apartment complex, everything's on a timer, the lights, right? You walk in, it either clicks on automatically, or you purposely have to push a button to turn it on. And then it goes off.
Yeah, they're on a timer.
They're on a timer. The goal is to save energy, to lower cost, and to save the planet. But meanwhile, go on any live feed of China, any given Chinese city you want at night, any city, and you will see Las Vegas times 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
It is insane. The lights are on. It's like the city that never sleeps. Nobody gives a fuck about saving energy. But here we're being told that we need to cut down. We need to use LED light bulbs, and we need to, drive smaller cars and drive slower, and do your laundry in cold water, and dispose of your garbage.
And do it at night.
Do it at night, and it's everything to save the planet and reduce our energetic footprint, our carbon emission footprint, while we have a country like China that is pumping billions upon billions of tons of CO2 in the atmosphere, and it only increasing. That's the thing. They're not putting any measures in place to lower their emissions. Quite the opposite. It is increasing year over year. The rate of emission is increasing year over year. So at one point you have to wonder, are we one, complete fucking fools? Or again, is this by design? Is it perhaps because I know that the green push requires certain kind of rare earth metal, right? Everything electric, solar, and whatnot. And China is the #1 country that exports these rare earth metals. So it makes one wonder, is it just a huge marketing ploy by China, by the politicians, influence them, make them push and shift the entire economy towards the green economy? And who's raking in the dough in the meantime? China. As Trump would say. I don't know. I think that's what it is.
I think that's a very big possibility. And especially the fact that, it's been proven time and time again that the CCP is very good at infiltrating countries in a very quiet way. And there's a very big chance that over multiple generations, over the years, that many of the Western countries have been infiltrated, and these people are, just regular people living their day-to-day life, but then they take, political office. They become influential people in the grand scheme of things, and then from there they could start pulling the strings and changing certain policies.
Well, I mean, we've seen it in the U.S. as well. There was a couple, I believe, Harvard professors that were caught and arrested on espionage charges for selling information, selling research papers to China. And not only that, but they would also recommend all of their most formidable students to Chinese companies.
Yeah.
Because most of companies in China, sure, there's an element of capitalism in China now, but a lot of the bigger industries are still either completely state-owned or partially state-owned. So the state retains their tentacles in the machine. So by sending the US's greatest talent, you have a brain drain, something that's been happening in Canada for a while in favor of the US, obviously, because of just why the fuck would you want to live in Canada and get half your paychecks taken away and, lower salaries and wages, but a higher cost of living.
And shittier quality of work.
And shitty quality of work. Yeah. On that note, so last topic I want to cover, a little bit about you. You're a welder, right?
Correct.
And so, you're blue collar, you work with, you have your finger on the pulse of the economy, you do the stuff that people rely on every day. Do you see more opportunities down south in the US than you do in Canada for work?
Definitely, but I have to say, and at least when it comes to my trade to welding, there are a lot of opportunities still in Canada. Mm-hmm. The only difference, I would say, and especially in my specialty, which is pipe welding.
Yeah.
So pipe welding could be many different things, but where the big money is very often is in pipelines.
Okay.
And that's one thing we're lacking here in Canada big time.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're lucky enough to be put on a project somewhere in Alberta, there is no pipeline work anywhere, especially not in Quebec, because obviously we don't want a pipeline to go through our province. But when it comes to refinery work and things like that, there's still quite a lot of work, but not nearly as much as in the US. And the demand in the US right now is huge. And I know the government actually came out saying that last I checked, I think it was in the next 5 years, there's going to be a shortage of something like 2 or 3 million welders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so how much does a welder make then?
In the US, a little less.
They're making less.
Yeah, but you're not getting taxed as much either.
No, for sure. But I'm surprised to hear that.
Yeah, so usually, like, let's say you get put on a pipeline. Mm-hmm. In the US, you'll make anywhere between, I'd say, $35 to $60 an hour, depending where the project is and everything.
In USD.
In USD, exactly.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, you're also paid. So usually the way it works is that when you talk about your wage, you'll say, I make, for example, I'm 50, 21, and 150. So the 50, that's your wage per hour while you're working. Then the 21 is your while you're traveling. So while you're traveling to and from, you're getting paid for your travel.
Okay.
And then afterwards, your 150 is the per diem. Mm-hmm. So that's what you get. It's money in your pocket. That is, you get to choose what you want to do with it. You could use it for a hotel, for food.
But it's made for living costs. It's
living costs, exactly. But you could use it for living costs, or you could just put in your pocket extra money in your pocket, which most guys tend to do.
So they're going to live on the cheap to try to pocket as much of their per diem as they can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as well, there's a lot more pipelines, a bigger pipeline culture when it comes to welding down in the US. And many guys, what they do is that they'll invest in their own truck that they call a rig, put their machine in the back, and then they very often will invest in a trailer camper.
Okay.
And then that's their housing. So they'll just travel from state to state, take contracts, work for a couple of weeks, couple of months. And while they're there, they find a campsite where they could just park their camper, and they go back there at night, and that's their house, their mobile home, basically.
Interesting. So they're pulling an M&M.
Yeah.
I said they're pulling an M&M.
Oh, they're pulling.
What did you think I said?
Because I saw you looked over there, so I was like, "Is there something over there?"
No, it's just I look at myself in the screen. I like to look at myself sometimes,
But also the beauty is. there's a couple provinces that are like that here in Canada, including Quebec. And one of the beauty in Alberta is that you don't have a governing agency, like for example here in Quebec, like the CCQ, that controls the wages for all construction trades, and as well control all the working conditions and everything. So obviously you have different unions that, so as a construction worker, once you start working on a construction job, you need to join one of 4 different unions here in Quebec. So you don't have a lot of choice. So you got to pick one. And then from there, they're the ones negotiating everything for you, all your rights, all your salary increase and everything. And that happens once every 4 years. So there's not a lot of competition when it comes to workers. So for example, I could be working on a job site with 5 other welders. I do 90% of the work, but they make the exact same money as I do. They could be horrible at their job, but they still make as much money as I do. As versus going to Alberta, there's no such thing. So therefore, they're going to hire the best quality workers and pay the money for it. So let's say I'm a great welder and I decide to go to Alberta. There's the competition where I could actually go to different companies, and companies are going to fight for me. If I'm a good welder, they're going to offer me more money, more perks, possibly bonuses, things like that to go work for them. As for here in Quebec, everything is regulated. So no matter if I work the best job there is, or if I work in a little shitty construction job, I know that I'll be making that exact wage no matter what.
Right. So more government control over everything,
Exactly.
or collective control, societal control,
Exactly.
right?
And then obviously you got to pay these unions. So
of
they
course.
not only does the government take a lot, but those unions take a lot of money off your paychecks.
Can never get ahead, eh?
No, of course. Now there's certain benefits to it. Like for example, for my trade, when it comes to welding, I'm part of a locale that's called the Local 144. And to be honest, they offer an amazing service. So they take care of their workers very well. And there's a service, a placing service. So whenever you're out of work, because very often it could be seasonal or contractual, you just give them a call and they put your name on a board, and then all companies that are hiring welders go through them, and then they just place you right away with a company, depending on what your needs are, what your specialties are, and everything. So you're rarely out of a job, and you don't have to do any search or call any companies and go for interviews or anything. It's all done.
So they take care of it like a placement agency as well.
Exactly.
Cool. Good stuff. Well, thank you, Tim, for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me.
It's appreciated.
It was
it's
a
your
lot of fun.
first time on a podcast.
First time, hopefully
Yeah.
not the last.
Hopefully not the last, yes. And for everyone watching, we're going to be launching a Patreon. So if you want to support what we do, because there is definitely a lot of costs associated to this, it'd be greatly appreciated. Get a little sub. We're going to put the cost very, very low. And it will give you access to special content. And most importantly, perhaps even a little community we're going to be building. But one way or the other, you're helping us get some information out there. We're one of the very few voices on right of center in Canada. It's odd. There's like 50% of the population believes and supports and views things like us, but yet the voices are very quiet, very quiet. So once again, Tim, thank you for coming, and
Thank
good job.
Thanks.